Well, you might be, I guess, because well, what do the definitions even mean? Blogger versus print? I don't know where you would
Yeah.
fall in that category because you're an editor of a print magazine. Um, but I think in Steinmetz's estimation, bloggers have more leeway in the way that they dress, or perhaps should, than print guys. Do you think that's so? Do you think that the print guys tend to dress better than blogging, schlubby schlubs like myself?
Well, look at it this way: a lot of bloggers work for themselves, right? You don't really have a boss. You're your own boss. You're updating when you can or when you have time. Um, and I think people from anyone who works at a company, a bigger company, um, and the bigger the company, the more standards there usually are, more rules there usually are, things like that. So uh, generally, the people from the bigger companies are going to be people from what, newspapers, magazines, whatever, um, and they have rules to go by. They have bosses they have to keep happy. And if you're a blogger, it's just you are what you are. And that kind of goes to my original point of how do you want to be seen? How do you want people? Do you want to be taken seriously, or even if you think it doesn't matter, to someone it does matter. So that's something I think I wrote about this
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago one time. So, but yeah, it does matter.
Yeah, well, we definitely would want to check that out and tweet that out. I guess one functional basketball question. I think that there are some exciting rookies around the league. We've been arguing Ricky Rubio versus Kyrie Irving. Just want to know your thoughts on those two guys and perhaps whom is better or who is better? Who or whom is better so far in this short season?
Ricky's my dude. I mean, back in 2006, I went to I heard about him at the NBA Finals. A reporter from Spain was telling me about this kid who I think he was 14 at the time and was playing in the
Yeah, you
ACB,
introduced him to
with
the
all these
world.
25-year-old guys. So that was in 2006. 2007, right after the Vegas All-Star game, I flew from Vegas to New York, basically the next day to Barcelona, and that was the first time I saw him play. I did a, went to his apartment, did the story on him, got to meet the family and all that stuff. So uh, Ricky's my guy. I think Kyrie's been great, and I think the Cavs have really exceeded a lot of people's expectations. But I just think Ricky's fun to watch, and I'm kind of rooting for him this season a little bit.
Well, Lang, I wasn't going to bring
I
Ricky
think
up, but
Zach.
since already part of the discussion, I think my most shocked part of seeing his game was I was just shocked that he is so composed in running an offense and in dealing with defenses. How much of that? I mean, is it all due to the fact that he's been a pro since he's 14? Shouldn't this be a little tougher? Not saying it's easy for him, but shouldn't it be tougher than what it's been so far?
People were like the first week. People were like, this guy's really good for a rookie, and I was saying he's not a rookie. I mean, technically he's a rookie by NBA standards, but since he's 15, he's been running offenses. He's been starting in the ACB. He's played in the gold medal game in the Olympics. He's played in the European Championships. The NBA is just another game for him, and I think one of the things that makes him so special is that poise, like you talked about. He's not afraid to tell guys where to go, when to go. He knows um, the stuff point guards a lot of times have to learn. Like when the guys switch from like a 2 to a 1, and you have to teach them, you don't go to the left every single time, or you don't, you have to get this guy involved when he's hot or whatever. And Ricky's been really good at that stuff really quickly, and I think that's pretty impressive for a guy that age. But again, he's not a rookie, really. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. He's been a professional since he was a kid. So I think that is something that's really special in his game. That's one of the things I really enjoy watching. I remember the first time I talked to him in Spain when he was like 15 or 16, and I asked him. We were talking about the NBA, and he watched a lot of games on the internet or whatever, and I asked him a move that he liked a lot, or I think I was like, "What's one of your favorite moves?" And he said that he liked the way Steve Nash came off a pick to his left side and would take an extra dribble with his left hand to make the inside pass a better angle for him. And I was like, "You're 16? Like, you notice these things and you study these things?" So, I mean, I'm not that surprised. I'm a little surprised it's happened so quickly, but I do like watching him play, and I like the poise that he brings to the game.
I think that I've also been pretty surprised at how guys like Dwayne Wade and LeBron, they're so impressed with what Rubio does. And talking to a couple of coaches like Scott Brooks and Tom Thibodeau before games recently, they've just talked about how he affects the game with his passing and everything. And it brings me to a larger point of players have a much different view on who is good in the NBA and who is not. And everyone talks about, how Kobe is still one of the best players, while many media members think he's regressing and maybe he's not so good anymore and he's not as efficient and all that stuff. How much should we listen to players when it comes to who is actually good and who isn't good?
I think we should listen a lot. I remember one time years ago, maybe like 2002, getting in a discussion in a locker room with some players. It must have been like 2004 or 5, because LeBron was in the league, and we were talking about if you were playing a game, who would be one of the first guys you would pick. And I said LeBron, and like 4 guys immediately said Vince Carter in this team. And I was like, really? You wouldn't want to take like the younger guy and like build around him? And they were like, yeah, but like Vince does so many things that you don't know, like you can't tell. He draws fouls, he gets to the line, all these other things that LeBron doesn't know yet. I think players know a lot more about the game than we probably give them credit for. Players are such like an easy target for us to sit at home and watch TV and yell and say, oh, this is a terrible pass, why would you do that, whatever. But these guys, this is their life, and they talk about this stuff all day long, all night long. They when I did the story last year with the 2 years ago with the Hawks, where I traveled with the team, and Mike Woodson let me go into like the pregame meeting and that morning shoot around. They, instead of a shoot around, they just had an hour meeting to talk about the game plan, and I probably learned more in that hour than I had in like 8 years of just following the game. Just because the stuff they talk about, it's the kind of stuff that A, we usually don't have time to talk about with a coach, and B, I guess most people probably aren't that interested in it. But their knowledge, players, coaches, and stuff, their knowledge of the game is so deep. And the more time I think you have to be around them and talk to them about that stuff, the more valuable it can be.
All right, my last question for you. A couple of rough fourth quarters for LeBron the last 2 nights. Do you think that his teammates and the opponents fear him? We're talking about how players view their colleagues. Do you think they still fear him at the end of the game? Is this just a completely mental thing? Should fans really be criticizing him as much as they are?
I think it's funny that the guy's a 2-time MVP winner. He just turned 27, 28. He's not even 30. Arguably the best player in the NBA right now, and it's funny to me that we still, he has 2 bad games and we can all jump on. It's like when the Mavericks started the season 0-3 and people were like, oh, they're done. What happened to this team? They're finished. They're not even going to make the playoffs. And it's always a process, and I think to watch LeBron struggle every once in a while just reminds you that the guy is human. That being said, I still think that 99% of the league, when LeBron has the ball, I'll say 100% of the league, you don't want to be facing LeBron one-on-one with him having the ball at the end of the game, because he's either going to get to the basket, he's going to get a shot off, or he's going to get a call. One of those things is going to happen, and it's impossible to stop that. You just got to hope he misses.
Well, Lang, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we will have plenty of great basketball to talk about the rest of the season, and maybe we can sneak in a Braves interview at some point just to piss the other guys off.
Oh man,
I know, man.
Never.
I'm a little worried, dude. We got to pick up some corner outfielders, but I think if we can get some offense, the rest of the NL East is getting so strong right now, so I'm a little worried. But we got pitching, and I think that's what we were supposed to learn from the Bobby Cox era, right? Pitching matters, so we'll be good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lang.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lang.